joking. I want to share with you a story that transformed not only my family's life, but our understanding of what it means to live fully while facing a terminal illness. This is Eddie's story, a little guy who lived for 7.5 years and taught us more about courage, joy, and the power of comprehensive care than any textbook or any AA chat books could ever do.
Sorry, there we go. What's that? Is that the second slide? Yeah.
To the medical professionals here today, Eddie's journey will show you how care extends far beyond clinical management. To the families who are walking this NPC path with us, I hope Eddie's story offers you validation of your own experiences, new perspectives on navigating this journey, and the reassurance that comes from a shared understanding. I would also like to acknowledge that every path is different and every family is navigating something quite different today, and I acknowledge that. Our journey was far from linear, more like moving through a rainbow. Moments of brightness, saturation, and clarity, broken up by storms, clouds, and quiet fades. Eddie was the light that made the rainbow possible. Eddie was to become a born patient. He had a smile for everyone and a remarkable ability to find joy even in the most challenging circumstances. He was a professional charmer. He could wrap doctors, nurses, and even the grumpiest of health clinicians around his little finger with just one grin. He also had an amazing capacity to assess the authenticity and genuineness of those connected with his care very quickly. His story isn't about managing terminal illness. It's about how a child and his family can thrive with the right support systems in place and how he can become the most popular patient on the ward.
You did it.
Yeah, why?
That's right.
Sorry.
Which one are we up to?
The next one. Oh, I see.
That's right, I can measure.
Eddie was born on the 6th of July, a wide-eyed, spirited little soul from the start. He was tiny but strong, and our little family of 4 felt complete. For 6 perfect weeks, we did what new parents do: camping trips, 40th birthdays, the first zoo trip as a complete family. We were blissfully unaware of the road ahead. But at the 6-week checkup, with jaundice still lingering, and a blood test sent us straight to the liver clinic at the Children's Hospital at Westmead. Within days, we were admitted, and Eddie's body became a puzzle to solve, with different parts of his body sent all over the world. During this stay, I remember watching other families at the hospital, oxygen tanks, wheelchairs, suction machines, and the likes, and thinking, lucky that's not us. But deep down, I had an innate sense that perhaps it might be. Yeah, for families, this 6 weeks represents something we didn't fully appreciate at the time: normalcy. You know what I mean by this now, that time when your biggest concerns were the ordinary things. You've probably thought about your own before times, especially during the harder moments of this journey. Those memories become cherished treasures and reference points for what we're grieving throughout this experience. For health clinicians, when working with families, acknowledging this before time is really important because it validates their experience and might help establish rapport. It reminds us that behind every diagnosis is a family whose world is about to fundamentally change. 6 weeks just before the October long weekend that year, we received his diagnosis. The support gap we encountered was stark, and what came next was shocking. A visit from the social worker to ask me to complete a parking form since we were about to join the Children's Hospital Westmead frequent flyer program, my words, not hers. On that day, no other support was provided. For families living with NPC, You know this challenge, the gaps in support systems and the way NPC can make you feel so isolated. I know you've become experts in the NPC, knowing more about lipid metabolism than you wish you ever knew. I know you found your footing, you've likely built your support networks, but you also know how the landscape keeps shifting as the needs of your loved ones change. For medical professionals and clinicians here today, having clear pathways to support, even when treatment options are limited, provides hope and direction when the families need it most. Never underestimate the enormous difference you can make in those early days of diagnosis, post-diagnosis, by connecting families with resources and other families who have walked this path. Faced with Eddie's diagnosis, we made a conscious decision about how we would approach his life. It wasn't a denial or a false hope. It was about choosing to focus on living rather than dying. In that single hospital room, as tears rolled down my face, I made my promise to my little guy. We promised to live our best possible life. We vowed to be the best versions of ourselves. We committed to make the most of every opportunity. We chose to live every day like it might be our last. And we decided not to sweat the small stuff. For families, these weren't just platitudes for us. They became really practical guidelines for making medical decision-making and daily life choices. You've probably developed your own family promises or values that guide your decisions. What started as survival strategies became the foundation for how you approach each day, each medical decision, and each precious moment. For clinicians, understanding a family's core values and promises can help align medical care with what matters most to them. Ask about their goals and values. It may help how you approach their care. Eddie was a born patient. His face would light up walking through emergency. He loved it. Staff adored him, and he worked that hospital system like a rock star. He had obsessions with Maggie Beer ice cream, Chicken's Twisties, and McDonald's chips, even after his peg went in. And the side eyes I'd get from strangers, I didn't give a shit. One of the best things Eddie taught me was walk your own road and don't sweat the small stuff. We had holidays, camping trips, family daycare, and yes, our little family became 5. As we welcome our 5th family member, we learned that Eddie's NPC wasn't actually inherited from my husband and I, but was the result of a rare genetic event called uniparental disomy, meaning only one parent was a carrier. Eddie really knew how to take rare to the extreme. Pretty quickly, his little brother Tom outgrew him, but Eddie wore the title Proud Big Brother like a badge. He endured endless cheeky pinches with grace and taught us that joy doesn't need to wait for the rain to stop. It can dance through puddles. At age 4, Eddie faced another devastating blow, a diagnosis of acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Suddenly, we weren't just navigating the complex world of paediatric oncology, but also NPC. Yeah, that's right. That's 3 rare occurrences for one little guy. Eddie never did anything by halves. It was Isabel's first week of kindergarten, and Tom was 6 months old. There's no denying we had many balls in the air as we had just wrapped our head around NPC. But Eddie did what he always did. He got on with it. He smiled through chemo, he lit up the variety ward, he held tea parties for doctors and nurses with his pink tea set. He had a gift of drawing people in. We started our Cure for Ed blog to keep up with all his followers. Entry into paediatric oncology was a complete eye-opener. On the day of this diagnosis, we received a large country road bag filled with goodies to support our stay in hospital. Toothbrushes, hand cream, supermarket vouchers, fuel vouchers, cards to access transport to the hospital. Eddie's cancer diagnosis also gained us access to a music and art therapist, which we didn't have access to while admitted under the metabolic team. A lot more than our parking voucher offered following our NPC diagnosis. He became the kid whose name everyone knew. Nurses popped by even when he wasn't their patient. As a family, we had the golden key to the parents' bedroom to sleep at night. We joke about it, but it was true. He had celebrity status. The head of oncology at the Children's Hospital Westmead used to say, "Eddie Sharp, you make my heart sing." And even at his most unwell, hooked up by a cocktail of pain and relief, he never complained. He just smiled and soldiered on. He'd go from emergency admissions to swimming lessons. There was never time to waste. His spirit was let's go, let's live. The dual diagnosis presented unique challenges. The aggressive treatment required for ALL had to be balanced against his already compromised neurological system. Treatment decisions became incredibly complex, requiring coordination from multiple specialist teams. For families, this experience taught us about the importance of having a lead coordinator, someone who could help navigate different specialties and ensure continuity of care. You've probably learnt this lesson too, perhaps the hard way, and I know over the last few days I've heard some horrible stories from families sharing other challenges as well. For clinicians, complex cases like Eddie highlight the critical need for clear communication between teams and families. Regular coordination meetings and clear notes become even more essential. As chemo ended, he transitioned to Arunumbai School. He called it Aramata. It was a mix of Parramatta, where the Children's Hospital Westmead is located, and Arunumbai, his school. He flourished there and his sparkle returned. The school became another community of love and support. Our support village just kept growing. And even as he moved from medical and educational worlds, he left streaks of colour, joy, mischief, and presence. Our referral to the palliative care team came in 2015 when he was nearly 5 years old. And the timing was crucial. We weren't just in crisis mode, but it allowed us for the proper introduction and relationship building. For families here, I know you may have had your own journey with palliative care. Perhaps you're not there yet. Perhaps those that have, you were initially hesitant like we were, or maybe you embraced it. I know the word palliative can sound intimidating, and it's something that can bring joy and support to your family. But you know what we learned? We learned it isn't about giving up hope. It's about adding another layer of support, focused on quality of life. It's about living better and more fully. For clinicians, the early introduction to palliative care was transformative. Too often it's seen as an end-of-life care introduced only when active treatment has failed. Eddie's case showed us that the value of concurrent care alongside a medical treatment plan. The palliative care team's impact on our family extended far beyond medical management. It helped enhance quality of life, advocacy and communication, whole family focus, continuity of care, and practical support. For clinicians, the key insight is that palliative care is holistic. It addresses physical, emotional, practical, and spiritual needs for the whole family system. Managing life with NPC requires constant balancing acts. For the families here today, you know that balancing act intimately. If you have other siblings in the family, you've navigated the challenge of keeping them as children or adults while their siblings need intensive care. You've probably found creative ways to maintain normal family activities, discovered respite care options, learned how to explain your child's condition in age-appropriate ways, and built support networks that understand your unique situation. You've probably also seen how extended family members process your child's condition differently. Some become overprotective, others struggle with acceptance, and some throw themselves into research and advocacy. For clinicians, families don't experience terminal illness uniformly. Each member will have different needs, different coping mechanisms, and timelines for acceptance. Effective care addresses these individual differences while supporting family unity. Watching the colours of our loved ones slowly fade day by day, ability by ability, is one of the most heartbreaking parts of the NPC journey. For the families here, you know you're living this right now. unpredictability. One day your loved one might surprise everyone by doing something you thought they'd lost the ability to do. The next day they might need help with something they'd been managing independently. For clinicians, understanding what to expect at each stage, helping families adjust care plans as needed, and supporting emotional responses to these changes is crucial. Remember that deterioration affects the entire family system, not just the patient. The final phase of Eddie's journey required different types of support. From our medical team, it helped us understand the dying process, provide emotional support for difficult situations, facilitate conversations about end-of-life preferences, ensuring comfort measures were in place, and supporting our desire to access Bear Cottage, a children's hospice. I know each family member will process declining conditions differently, and you've probably experienced this in your own family. It's okay and it's normal when not everyone is in the same emotional place at the same time. For clinicians, supporting families through end-of-life preparation is also a challenge and requires sensitivity to different coping styles while maintaining family unity. Eddie's final weeks were both heartbreaking and beautiful. And even when his body was growing tired, he still managed to remain his cheeky look and a smile for everyone. Eddie died peacefully on January 26, 2018, Australia Day, surrounded by family. And even in death, Eddie seemed to choose his timing thoughtfully, leaving us on a day of national significance and reclaiming it as Eddie Day. His death was gentle, quiet, and perfect in its own way. He waited until we were ready, and then, as he always did, he slipped out of the door at his rockstar place in Palm Beach. His rainbow arced into the sky one last time, and though the light changed, the colour remained. After 7.5 years of imagining how Eddie's final moments might unfold, nothing could have prepared us for the unexpected beauty and surreal peace of that day. We were heartbroken. But alongside that grief came an overwhelming sense of relief, a gentle stillness as I turned off his oxygen machine, removed his nasal prongs, and held his peaceful body in my arms. I stayed like that for more than I can remember, gathering strength and quietly making a plan. We contacted Bear Cottage to ask if we could bring him to the Clifton Gardens room, a cooled, homely space where families can spend up to 3 days with their child after their death. In that moment, it felt like the most compassionate choice, far more comforting than having his body taken away immediately in an ambulance and a confirmation of peace by death. At Bear Cottage, we bathed him just as we had done together in the nights before. We dressed him lovingly, we lay in his bed, we played music. Friends and family came to say goodbye, and after all of the machines and all of the interventions, it was deeply reassuring to look so peaceful and so free of pain. And then after the rainbow fades, we learnt to live in his afterglow. After 10 years of study, I'm finally in my final year of a clinical master's degree, working across schools, hospital settings, and private practice. I fundraise for NPC, I swim in the ocean, I practice yoga. I do my best to live mindfully with intention and be the best version of myself. The promise I made to our little guy 14 years ago. And Eddie is everywhere. At Palm Beach, at our holiday house in Shoal Bay. He's in every wave, every breeze, and every laugh from his brother and sister. Because even after the storm, after the rainbow fades, its memory is still imprinted in your heart. For families who are early in this journey, you might not be ready to hear that, but that's okay. For those who are facing end-of-life considerations or have already walked this path, there are challenges. Each one of us have our own challenges. The immediate grief brought physical and emotional exhaustion, feeling numb and disorientated. and learning to function as a family of 4 instead of 5. Managing the children's return to school while processing grief, and discovering both the liberation and guilt of increased freedom. Our ongoing grief journey taught us that grief lurks in unexpected moments. It might be fewer towels left in the bathroom, less washing, the ability to run errands without medical equipment. Grief isn't linear. There are good days and difficult days. Finding new routines and meaning while honouring Eddie's memory takes time, and each family member does it differently. Based on our 7.5-year journey with Eddie, I'd like to share some key insights. For clinicians, focus on the whole family. Siblings, parents, and grandparents all have different needs. Maintain hope while being realistic. Families can hold both hope and acceptance simultaneously. Provide consistent communication, regular updates, and prevent families from being abandoned. Human matters, use it. Families remember how you are more than what you say. Let go of needing to fix it. Presence is powerful. See the person, not just the patient. Small gestures leave big imprints. I remember who was there. I remember who smiled. I remember who said nothing, but said everything with their eyes. Be the colour in someone's cloudy day. For families, build relationships with your care team before crisis hits. Trust developed during stable periods is really important. Address practical needs and don't hesitate to ask for help with equipment, respite care. Remember that it's okay to experience complex emotions simultaneously. Grief and joy can coexist. Connect with other NPC families as you have today. I can see that. Shared experience provides a unique understanding and support. Most importantly, remember that behind every NPC diagnosis is a family trying to live, love, and find meaning in difficult circumstances. Eddie taught us that it's possible to live fully even when facing terminal illness. But this requires comprehensive, compassionate, coordinated care that addresses not just medical needs, but human needs as well. To the families here today, you're not alone. There's a community of families who understand your journey and medical professionals who are committed to supporting you. Your child's life has meaning and value that extends far beyond their diagnosis. To the clinicians here today, remember you have the privilege and responsibility of walking alongside families during their most challenging and sacred moments. Your clinical expertise combined with genuine compassion can transform a family's experience from one of mere survival to one of growth, connection, and meaning. Eddie's legacy continues to grow through families who have benefited from improved NPC care and support, research funded in his memory, healthcare providers who have learned from his journey, and other families who find hope and guidance in his story. Eddie's story demonstrates that when we combine excellent medical care with genuine compassion and comprehensive family support, we can transform the experience of terminal illness. Oh, yeah, sorry. Oh, last one? No, there was more. Hang on. No, that's it. No, that's it. That's it. Right. You want to just say it? No, that's enough. Just closing it. What do you want me to rest on? No, that's all right. That's fine. Yeah. And there's just a link. Yeah, that's sorry. I lost my ending. Okay. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ellie.